Alright, in this video I'm going to talk about the differences in Magpul PMAG M2 versions and M3 versions. And what I have here on the left is an M2 windowed PMAG, and on the right an M3 non-windowed. I don't have any M2 non-windowed PMAGs to do a like-to-like comparison. Because of the last panic that we had over high-capacity magazines, I've sold a lot of my magazines, almost all of my M2 magazines, because I'm upgrading to M3s. So these are the only M2s I have left to use for this comparison. And what I'm going to talk about first is the improvements that Magpul has made to the M3 over the M2. The M3 is stronger. Stronger in the area of the feed lip impact, spine strength, side impact, and cold and hot weather durability. The M3 has geometry changes to increase reliability in extreme and adverse conditions. The M3 has new low drag follower for increased reliability in dusty environments. The M3 is drop free on receivers with tight tolerances. The M3 is compatible with the HK416, the SA80A2, and the FN SCAR. The M3 has a new over travel stop, and it allows it to be used in HK416 and M4 mixed environments. The M3 mag catch area is reinforced. The M3 has a thinner floor plate for pouch compatibility, and the M3 has slightly increased rib height for better handling under stress. The M3 has grip ribs on the front and rear spines for increased positive handling under stress. The M3 has recessed paint pen matrix, which will not rub off with use or cleaning. The M3 Magwell features new window material, which is more chemical resistant and has a non-glare finish. And that's in reference to Gen 3 windowed PMAGs. So I'm going to talk about some of these changes and what I've noticed myself between these two. I haven't had any reliability issues with the Gen 2s at all. I haven't really worked in dusty or sandy environments like Iraq or Afghanistan, so that might have been a problem with the Gen 2s, I don't know. The M3 being drop free on receivers with tight tolerances. I have noticed that on some lower quality receivers the Gen 2 PMAGs won't drop free. It's good that they fixed it. I haven't actually had any of those lower quality receivers in-house to do builds with, so I haven't been able to test the M3 mags, but it appears that they did address that issue, which is good. The compatibility issues with the other rifles, like the HK416 and the FN SCAR, previously you had to do some modifications to your magazines to get it to work in some of those rifles. They've obviously made the M3 compatible. That's a good thing if you run any of those three platforms. The mag catch area being reinforced. I haven't had any issues with the mag catch area, so again, that obviously must have been some sort of an issue or feedback that they've received from users to do that. The thinner floor plate, that's a big plus for me. With these Gen 2 magazines versus the see if you can see that. You can see that the Gen 3, which is in my right hand, is substantially thinner. The floor plate is. And why is that a big deal? Well, it may not be a big deal for a lot of people, but in my loadout, my mag pouches, normally I can put 2 mags in each pouch. That's problematic with the Gen 2 PMAGs because of the width of the floor plate. So that's been my complaint is, you know, with the GI mags or the C Products mags that I use, I can easily fit 2. Now with the Gen 3 here, with the thinner floor plate, I can easily fit 2 of these in here. That was one of my main reasons on getting rid of all the Gen 2s was compatibility with my gear. The rib height has been increased, and they also have this textured ribbing on the front and the back. I normally run with gloves, so I haven't had any gripping issues with the magazines, but you know, the added gripping surface is good. Glad to see that. You know, if you've ever run any type of tactical classes or anything like that, where you're running and gunning, you're ejecting magazines, you're reloading, and you're continuing. Magazines end up all over the ground, people stepping on them, and you come back and you're like, okay, well, which one of these is mine? So you're going to see a lot of instructors saying, put your name on your magazine, mark them so you know which one is yours, and so on and so on. So people use a paint pen marker, or you know, magic marker, or you know, a Sharpie, something like that to mark their magazines. And what Magpul has added is this paint pen matrix down here. So you can take a well, this obviously won't work with this pen, but you can take like a paint pen and you can you know, put dots in here, fill up these little recesses with letters or something like that to, you know, identify your different magazines. You know, you can number them, or you know, you can put your name or your initials or something like that on there. And because it's recessed, they're not going to rub off or come off with cleaning, especially if you use a paint pen. So that's a neat feature as well. I haven't actually utilized that feature yet, but I'm still in the old habit of well, not on this one, but you know, I put markings down here on these recessed areas to identify my magazines. The M3 utilizes a new window material which is more chemical resistant and has a non-glare finish. I haven't had problems with the window glare issue per se, but on a couple of my magazines I made the mistake of using a cleaner on them, and it did fog the plastic. So I don't have any Gen 3 windowed ones to verify that that problem is gone with the new magazines. I've just gotten in the habit now of, if I need to clean the outside surface of the magazines, I don't use anything but simple green. Simple green is the easiest thing to use. I don't use anything else. So what else have I noticed? Well, the dust covers. For example, this is Gen 2 with the dust cover. Now what I normally do is I'll hook my dust covers on the bottom. And they snap on the bottom and they're out of the way. Now on this magazine, the Gen 3, you can't do that. These are not designed to snap down here on the bottom. They just don't they don't go on. There's you know, they don't go on. So that's kind of a bummer deal, because you've got to find some place to put these. They don't snap on the bottom. Alright, so that's kind of an issue with the dust covers. It's not a deal breaker, but it's kind of a bummer I can't snap these on the bottom. The other thing I noticed is if you've got like Gen 2 Ranger plates, they obviously don't fit on the Gen 3 mags. Now, I don't have any here to demonstrate. I forgot to bring them down in my workshop, but they definitely don't fit. So if you're selling your Gen 2 magazines, sell them with the Ranger plates, or sell those Ranger plates and buy new ones for the Gen 3s. Also, there's been a school of thought, you know, a lot of people tell you in training classes, don't load your 30 round magazines with more than 28 rounds, because if you get into a situation where you need to insert the magazine on a closed bolt, it won't lock into place. And that's absolutely true on a lot of older, outdated magazine designs. The Gen 2s with 30 rounds in them, you can insert these into the gun on a closed bolt, not a problem. At least I haven't had a problem. It was a little tight, but it was still quite doable. On the Gen 3, they've actually added a little bit more room to make inserting a fully loaded 30 round magazine into a rifle with a closed bolt easier. And I have verified that it is easier. As a matter of fact, with the Gen 3, you could get 31 rounds in it if you wanted to. So that's a good feature. So you don't have to only load your magazine up with 28 rounds or something like that. So that's definitely, it wasn't an issue with Gen 2, at least with my magazines it wasn't an issue, but it was a little difficult at times. Sometimes I'd have to insert the magazine, it wouldn't lock, and I'd have to slap it and I'd get it locked into place. So it was just tight. On the Gen 3, it's not as tight, goes in real easy on a closed bolt. So the other things I've noticed that are roughly the same are the stainless steel springs. The anti-tilt follower appears to be the same to me when I took the mags apart. They're marked differently, but I know Magpul has said that they've said that the follower is a new low drag follower for increased reliability in dusty environments. It's obviously a different follower, but it looks the same to me. So I'm not aware of what changes they made to the follower, but supposedly they did make changes to it. It did look the same to me. Disassembly of the magazines is the same, so that really hasn't changed. And you know, again, Gen 2s, thousands of rounds through them. I haven't had any issues stepping on them, dropping them, no splits, no feed ramp issues, nothing. I've got no complaints with the Gen 2s, except my, you know, fitting multiple magazines in my pouches. That's kind of was my biggest beef there. A lot of times in those situations I ended up, you know, running the C Products magazines, and now I don't have to do that with the Gen 3s. And let's see. You can see that there is a color variance on the followers. This is kind of a grayish color on the Gen 3, and the Gen 2 is a green follower. And there are, you know, we've got an M stamping on the green follower, and we have a 556 stamping here on the Gen 3. You know, that's about all I really noticed on the followers. And let's see the ribbing. And on the Gen 3, again, the only negative I've got at this point is the dust cap won't snap onto the bottom. I guess that leaves something for the Gen 4 magazines if Magpul comes out with a Gen 4. So far I'm very happy. I have definitely not shot as many rounds through the Gen 3 as the Gen 2s, but so far so good. No issues. You can see there's the stamping on them's a little bit different. This Gen 2, which you probably can't see, it's actually got NSN number stamped on it. And a little bit of different writing, but nothing of any consequence. So that's going to wrap up this video on the differences between the Gen 2 and Gen 3 Magpul PMAGs, my thoughts, and other issues that I've noticed between the two.